Hi, this is Stacy with Lily Bean Crafts by Stacy. Welcome back, and if it's your first time, thanks for stopping by. Wrapping up my fall series, I needed to do something with coppers and pinks because I haven't yet. So I decided to make a custom mix with Foster, which is a mini chunky, and Matse from Peachy Olive Glitters, along with Belle from Rae Creations and Barefoot from Vixen Glitters. And I'm going to mix that together, and then for the top of the ombre, I'm just going to be using the Barefoot from Vixen Glitters. It's such a pretty color. This vinyl decal piece is the inspiration for my colors. So I decided that I was going to take a 20-ounce skinny from Maker Flow, and I'm going to do a 50-50 split on this, having the vinyl on one side and then an ombre on the other side. I'm just trimming out my vinyl piece that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to use the hinge method to apply it. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the one side, like I said, using the hinge method. And then once that's done, I'm going to take some painter's tape and tape it off so that I can go ahead and get the ombre going. For my spray paint, I used Colorshot Skinny Dip for the top, and I use Farmer's Daughter for the bottom. Now, this vinyl decal combo I got from Gracefully Created. It was created by Emily over at Rustic Passion Studios. This set can be purchased at a couple of different places. I also have some pieces from 311 Co. I'm telling you, if you do any vinyl work using the hinge method, pick up this large squeegee that I got from the Bowen. It is such a lifesaver. It makes everything so much easier to apply. If you haven't done so yet, check out my Lily Bean Crafters Community Facebook group. I'm getting ready to put together a 12 Days of Christmas series, and I'm getting input from everybody on what they would like to see to maybe create for themselves come this holiday season. Once I have it taped off, I'm going to use the epoxy method to apply my ombre. So I'm going to take 1 to 2 mLs of my fast set epoxy, mix it together, and I'm going to apply it to the tumbler just a little bit. I don't need a lot. I just want to make sure that I get full coverage, but I want it to be on there thin. And I'm going to go ahead by starting to cover the entire bottom of the tumbler, and then as you can see, I'm tilting it to like a 45-degree angle, and I'm just going to let it trickle down and fall part of it into the next section of the spray paint. And now I'm going to be taking the top part, covering the entire top of the tumbler, and then I'm going to do a 45-degree angle in the other direction and let it trickle down towards the bottom. I'm using this Barefoot glitter from Vixen Glitters, which I bought last year and I've never used, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And here I am going in and doing my second coat, getting the full coverage that I need to make sure that everything is covered, and letting it fall a little bit heavier, and then I'll do the final part with the glitter on the top. Once it is all covered, I'm gonna put it off to the side and I'm gonna let it dry for 3 hours, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm going to put some of my sealant on there, my glitter glue, and make sure that it is completely sealed, and I'll let that sit for 3 hours, and then I'll start with my epoxy coats. Thing I didn't do, wasn't even thinking about it at the time, but I did not pat down my glitters. It did have a little bit of chunky in there, and I did not take the time to take parchment paper and push it all down. So it is going to take me 3 coats of epoxy to completely get these glitters covered and able to start putting vinyl on them. Going in with my first coat of my fast set epoxy, and I'm going to put 20 mLs on. Really good coverage over this glitter, and I'm going to let it spin for 3 hours, and then I'm going to go back in with another 10 mLs of my fast set epoxy, And this time I'm going to let it go for a full 4 hours so that it's completely dry. And then I'm going to sand it down, and I'm actually going to add the first bit of vinyl striping, and then I'm going to put on my final coat of epoxy. Decided to go with just one color of trim for this tumbler, so I am using the champagne gold that I get from Amazon, and I'll go ahead and I'll link that in the description. And I just cut out a sheet with several different sizes and decided which size I wanted to use for all my trim work. Really wanted the tumbler to have a little bit more dimension, not just be flat, just, you know, one thing on one side and one thing on the other side. So I decided to do several rows of the trim in different sizes to add a little bit more dimension. Here is the decal that I'll be using on this side, but I do want to get one more coat of epoxy on there. And before I do that, one thing I do like to do is I like to take clear nail polish and just put it on the edges of where this textured vinyl is. It just kind of prevents it from peeling back up. And then I did go in with another 10 mLs of my fast set epoxy, and I let that dry for 4 hours. And here I am applying the decal finally. And there was one small bubble in there, so I'm just going to trim around there and get that bubble out. And as I was looking at it, it just felt a little bit boring to just have the decal with the ombre. Still super pretty. You could have totally finished it there, but I wanted to make it a little bit more extra. So I decided to add a couple more layers of different sizes of the champagne textured trim, just to make it more my style. And I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and just kind of go and trim everything up and make sure that everything is exactly where I want it to be. And then I'm going to add a couple more thinner strips just to kind of make it how I did it on both sides of the halves. And once again, adding the clear nail polish to it just to put down on the edges, just to make sure that it doesn't peel up on me when I apply the epoxy. I decided to put a pumpkin at the bottom of the tumbler, and this vinyl I got from 311 Co. And I just went ahead and I cut it out with some scissors. So I wanted to get the pumpkin and the flower, and I am going to take one of my little black pens, and I'm just going to add another tendril to it just to kind of like fill in that open gap right there. And I'm just going to have that be trimmed. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my Rust-Oleum clear spray paint and seal that and let it sit for like 20 minutes. And then now I'm going in with another 10 mLs of my fast set epoxy. I'm going to make sure I get full coverage on this, pop all the bubbles, and I am going to then sand it down really good and then go in with 10 mLs of my regular Flint Sisters medium viscosity Artist Cure resin and let that go for 8 to 10 hours, and then it will be all done. Here is the finished product. It is so pretty. I can now check off my list that I got a pretty fall tumbler with coppers and pinks. I love the pumpkin on the bottom. All of it just came together so beautifully. And if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.